This episode of the Auto Tech Show is sponsored by Unipart, your supply chain performance improvement partner. Hello and welcome everyone to this very special episode of the Auto Tech Show, shot here at Move London event, East London. My name's Mark Babin and I'm very excited to welcome you back to our show, and welcome back to our show from Unipart, Lucy Dobeer. She's an award-winning automotive thought leader and the head of automotive business development, where she actively leads the position of Unipart as an essential and expert partner for end-to-end EV and battery logistics in the UK. Lucy, welcome back to the show. Great to have you. Great to finally meet in person here at Move London. How are you finding everything so far?
Yeah, good. It's really hot. Lots of energy. It's really buzzing here at Move today. Mm-hmm. So much innovation discussion happening.
Yeah.
We've been part of it. I took my colleague Maria from Hyperbat as well today. So we've had lots and lots of interesting conversations. And
are they the conversations you expected to have, or is it sort of developing in real time?
Well, having to witness the startup village, that was really nice to see, actually. Maria and I spent quite a bit of time moving around.
A lot of companies in that area.
Exactly that. And actually asking, what do you do? Because we wouldn't have heard of them. Mm-hmm. They're startups, so they're very in early stages. We talked to a couple of companies that are still in prototype stage. So I feel that is where we need to be engaging in conversation, so they're aware of what Unipart can do from day one. So when things do go live for them, we're able to support straight up from a startup stage.
It's really nice that they are here already actively having those conversations.
Yes.
As well, for the reasons you said, but also to be part of the larger conversation as the industry tries to make this shift.
Correct.
We're seeing a lot of positivity here in the UK and in Europe when it comes to EV, and we need to keep that going to offset the other part of the world that's a bit slower right now. But it is nice to see them having the conversations, and it's a busy show. Like you said, It's only day one, but there's lots more conversations to have.
Yes.
It is really exciting. Well, good. Let's get into our topic today. I want to talk about this concept of invisible infrastructure. I know it's an important topic now. In the context of EV and battery adoption, why is this such a critical background or a critical backbone for the ambitious goals that the UK has?
So I hate using the word invisible infrastructure because it's completely, it's making it like it's not there. Right. Because actually what it is a complex, unseen network of logistics, supply chain management, and complete specialist services that are involved in the entire EV battery lifecycle. And that's from manufacturing, storage, transport, remanufacturing, repurposing, recycling. So it's a critical role in trying to achieve UK net zero targets, establishing competitive domestic EV industry. There's a whole thing going on behind this invisible infrastructure, and it's critical. And we feel that we are able to actually help startups as well, because people are struggling to find their footprint in the UK, and that's what we're trying to do, to work with them and support them from that early stage, using our heritage as well. So 50 years of heritage of Unipart that has gone into all of these current global OEMs. Why wouldn't we want to help the startups?
Yeah, it seems like those are the critical conversations, again, that need to happen, and bringing that invisibility out into the open and making more people aware of it.
Absolutely.
Brings more demand to it as well. Do you feel like that's part of the obligation that you guys have then, is to bring it a bit more to the surface?
Sure. If you look at one of our current customers, that started with one pallet in a warehouse, and now we run their entire global aftermarket for them.
Wow.
So if we can do that for one, we can do that for another, we can do that for another. And that's where these conversations are so critical to explain what we're able to do.
You talked about the heritage that Unipart has, obviously quite extensive, quite deeply rooted. Why is that such an advantage when we talk about managing the really specific complexities that come with this supply chain world?
That's a great question. So I feel that with the heritage, we celebrated our 50th year last year. We're so proud of that. We've been doing this for aftermarket and production for such a long time. No customer is the same. Everybody is different, and everything that we do is bespoke. So from automotive production, aftermarket, we can transfer our core competencies, precision, safety protocols, and inject that into everything that we do. When it comes to EV, you are looking at high voltage, dangerous goods. So there is a huge element and focus on training. Unipart has its very own operational excellence, which is the Unipart way. Our CEO, Darren, very proudly stood in front of our partners at an event recently and very proudly talked about the Unipart way. And that is what we adhere to. That is our operational excellence. So managing EV, there is a huge, strong focus on getting that right. And it has to be safe. Without those robust, temperature control, traceability, without that experience, you shouldn't be doing it.
And I guess that's hopefully a lesson that people don't have to learn the hard way.
Exactly.
How do you approach that conversation by telling people this is actually much more serious and complex than you may think it is?
So I feel that the message is quite clear around that now. Everybody is aware that it is a critical, it's safety protocols. It's also about knowledge, legislation. It's all, it's about knowing what you're doing. So we have those conversations all of the time. And I feel like having that natural relationship with the customer and having them being able to ask those difficult questions, it's our job to settle and make that OEM or tier one supplier, battery manufacturer, making them feel we're in good hands. And that's where we're able to demonstrate. So we can take our customers anywhere in Unipart to demonstrate what we do, how we do it. And it's the conversation and the experience that we're able to use that upon.
Yeah, I think that's such an important element as well. Looking at the whole life cycle of a battery from gigafactory to the end of life, there's a lot of challenges that probably exist for these for the OEMs and the manufacturers. What are those primary challenges that they face when it comes to the batteries? And then how do Unipart and how do what you do with this single offering provide an opportunity for them that they may not know about?
Yeah, so I think from gigafactory to end of life, the main point there is if you think about the multiple suppliers involved in that. So how do you manage it? You've got multiple suppliers, multiple contracts. That can be really stressful and a lot of work in the team. If you think about you have your logistics team, you work for an OEM, and you've got all of these different things. Suppliers fail, suppliers, they come with their challenges. So Unipart can offer that entire end-to-end. So we have Hyperbat. Hyperbat can do that whole battery remanufacture, manufacture stage. Hyperbat is part of Unipart, and we are the logistics, transport and warehousing supplier. So you put it all together and you're actually offering an OEM battery manufacturer or a tier one, the whole package. They're dealing with one person. So doesn't that alleviate time, money, stress? Sure. It just seems to me an ideal opportunity for people to have kind of one or two people to deal with instead of over 10 people to deal with, contracts, invoices, payment terms. There's so much involved in setting up a supplier. So much work goes into that. And it is full-time jobs. Companies are paying lots and lots of personnel to do that. Mm-hmm. And it's stressful. It's stressful for them. And that's, we're trying to take away that kind of ownership of it, reduce costs, improve traceability. And surely as we're going out into more of a battery passport kind of stage, we're making things a lot easier for the traceability. It's one system. So we would offer them that one system from start to finish. I just think that would...
Simplicity above all else.
Complete, I'd probably make it sound so easy.
Yes.
But why not?
For them, it should be.
For them, it should be. It shouldn't be adding stress as we go more into the future with EV. We should be starting to make things easier. And that's how I feel.
I think traditionally logistics is obviously very fragmented. Do you feel like that's still the case when we're talking about this element of it? There's a lot of pieces that have to fit in that puzzle. And usually it's a bunch of independent organizations that fit each piece of that puzzle within that whole supply chain of logistics. Traditionally, in the space now, with this battery size and with the whole space, do you feel like it's still that way today? It is still very fragmented and you're kind of coming to disrupt that? Or are people starting to package things together more?
I still think it's fragmented. You know, I have great relationships with our OEMs around, and I have lots and lots of conversations, you know, day-to-day conversations. And some companies will feel, actually, it's great having lots of suppliers, because if one fails us, we've got another one.
Sure.
We can utilize our other partners. But actually, when you look at contract terms and conditions, they can't always have that monopoly and that luxury to be able to move on to a different supplier to do that. So I would like to be a disruptor. I would really like Unipart and Hyperbat to come in and make those changes, disrupt the course, because it's not working. Right. You know, OEMs are more and more stressed. I caught up with a friend of mine at Move today who had moved away from an OEM and has come into the logistics, you know, service. And he told me that his life is nicer. It's a lot less stress-free. He's not working weekends. And that really resonates with me. You know,
shouldn't be the way logistics was in the past.
That shouldn't be the way, you know. We shouldn't be having people like that. And he feels relieved. You know, his children see him now. And that I really take that away. And I think, well, you know, what's going on? What are your logistics providers and your strategic partners not doing right that you're having to do that, and you're not with your family at the weekends? So I'm really trying to push for an end-to-end service here to alleviate, and I really can't stress that word enough, is to alleviate some of that pressure. You know, it should be made easy. You should have a strategic partner that picks this up and provides that back to you.
Right. And it gives everyone at that OEM a bit, it's like another department in their organization, essentially. Exactly.
Not a transactional partner. I really don't want to be a transactional partner with anyone anymore. You know, I have one OEM that I worked so closely with when I was working with them that they cleared a desk for me. You know, I showed up, they cleared a desk for me. I went to lunch with the team. I was part of their team. Yeah. And that's exactly what we are trying to provide. We should be there. We should be visible. We should be taking some of that stress away. We shouldn't just be showing up every 3 months to do a QBR. I want to be in their team. You know, I'll wear their T-shirt if they want me to wear their T-shirt. I'll wear their uniform.
It's better for everyone.
It's better for everyone.
The more tightly you're knit into the culture of what they're trying to do.
Exactly that.
Amazing. I want to talk about the concept of remanufacturing when it comes to EV batteries. I think it's still quite early. It's not something that we had to deal with in the past. This is, again, we're reaching that point where that's starting to become part of the conversation. Do you feel like it's becoming louder? It's becoming a concept that everyone gets? Or is it still everyone's asking, what is remanufacturing? What is remanufacturing?
Interesting. I use my parents for this topic, actually. My mum won't buy an EV car because she truly believes that the battery life will only be 10 years. So in my mum's mind, a 70-year-old lady who believes that her car will only last for 10 years. Mm-hmm. That's how she feels, not the battery. She believes that the whole car is for 10 years. So if my mum, who's quite an intelligent lady, believes that, can you imagine who else is thinking that,
as a sample
right?
of the population.
So if we look at remanufacturing, what Hyperbat are actually offering is an extended life and giving the OEM, but the customer, knowing that actually the battery might get down to a percentage state or a critical stage. What Hyperbat will do is remanufacture that battery, give it a whole new life, which stops it from being dumped, left, sat in a dealership, in a service centre. The cost of recycling, where all the recycling and the black matter and everything ends up, we still don't really have a clear message on that. So remanufacturing a battery that's here and now, putting that back into the car, there's nothing wrong with the car. It's giving everything a whole new lease of life. Yeah. And that's what Hyperbat are offering to do, which then gives the sales rate will go up, the OEM's profit will go up. Everything is a win-win situation with that. So environmentally, sustainability, and the profit for the customer.
I think those topics are great. The question becomes from an OEM perspective, and you said they get more out of it, but what do they get out of it if the cars that they're selling last longer, but then they sell fewer new cars? So what is the actual benefit for the OEM when we look at this remanufacturing second life world?
Yeah, so interesting question. And I guess if your sales are lower because people aren't buying them, maybe they're not buying them because they know they might not be able to sell it on. So if you're selling a car that's 7 years old, would you look at that car as the second person? Oh, well, the battery's going to die and it's going to go and I'll need another one in 3 years. So surely by having that remanufacturing element, you'll sell more. Because if you're selling more, there are people in the world that will always only want a new car.
Sure.
So sales will always be there, but it's having that stability to buy the car knowing you can sell it. So the people that keep buying new cars, they will have that reassurance that they can resell. And then the second-hand market, so people buying second-hand cars, they will be able to have that reassurance. So I feel like that is a win-win from a kind of a quality assurance and, a commitment to the car, to whoever's buying the car, whether it's new or old, which will then help create better sales.
I also think there's an element of, we talk about this whole EV adoption concept, which is still a conversation that we're having. People are still needing to be convinced to jump into an EV. I think Europe and UK are getting it. I mean, even just you walk out to the road and you count the cars going by and 50% of them are EV at this point, which is great to see, but there is still barriers to overcome. Knowing there's a second life option with a vehicle will, in my opinion, only help EV adoption on a mass scale. Yes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just, again, it's about having that reassurance. If you don't have the reassurance, then you're not going to move into an EV. And what's really interesting, my colleague Maria and I were talking to somebody today at Move who said, well, we have a mobile battery unit. So somebody pedals out to your car, you book it like an Uber, and they come to your house. So if you live in a flat, you can book them. They'll pedal out to your house. They'll charge your car. Amazing. It takes 40 minutes to do a whole charge, and it just gets charged from your phone. So job done. You unlock the car, you can charge it up. And I feel like those types of things that are coming out, it's going to be that better reassurance, because I always think of the people in the flats. How do you charge your car when you've had a whole day at work? You want to go home. You got to go and sit in a car somewhere. You got to park up for 40 minutes in the heat. Do you then drive to a beer garden to charge your car and have an alcoholic drink? It's crazy, the thought of what might have to go into it. So I think it's about reassurance. It's about having that reassurance that there are people working on these concepts in the background to get people into EV.
Totally agree. And I guess kind of tying into that, the resilience and sustainability option, when we look at the EV ecosystem as a whole, Unipart has a really deep-rooted strategic element here. And we touched on it earlier with that deep heritage, but how does that support that ecosystem as a whole when we look at the UK or we look beyond the UK?
Yeah, so if we look at the UK to begin with, I mean, we have a network of strategic hubs. We're very close proximity to our OEM manufacturing established logistics. So we have localized expertise. We have the infrastructure to reduce the reliance on international supply chains. So pretty much anyone you talk to and you say to them, where are you sourcing your batteries from? China, Japan.
Yeah, of course. We
are not utilizing what we have here in the UK. And I always shout from the rooftops about Hyperbat, because if you can localize it, that's helping sustainability. That is keeping the costs down. That is pushing everything back to our country, which can only be a good thing. So that's enhancing things like security, response times, and having the opportunity that if you have a battery from Hyperbat, then you can have it remanufactured down the line. Sure. So you're having that warranty and the guarantee and that place to go to. So I feel like it's much, it completely supports our national environmental goals as well. Which are
things to be taken seriously given the regulation and everything that's going to come in to manage that. Now, obviously, speaking about the regulatory side and the technology side, there's a lot of development continuing. There's a lot of trends developing. from your seat, from what you see, what are those main trends that are going to help to really emphasize the need for a sophisticated invisible infrastructure in that respect? And I guess, how are you guys positioned to lead that charge?
Yeah, sure. So where you have trends, you've got battery chemistry advancements. So today we met somebody that talked about sodium. That's new on me. So this is changing all of the time. So it's having kind of increased regulatory scrutiny on lifestyle management. It's about being in the know. So you've got to keep up to date and having the expertise. So we've got a team of people who are on the ground all day, every day, figuring this stuff out, keeping on top of those trends, what we can handle, how do we do it? So Unipart are trying to create a future-proofing, if you like, continuous improvement, working with AI, adopting and establishing and implementing those trends to handle.
This episode of the Auto Tech Show is sponsored by Unipart. Unipart is a supply chain performance improvement partner delivering efficiency, resilience, and sustainability across multiple sectors. With more than 50 years of expertise, we design, make, move, and improve components in our customers' supply chains, keeping their operations and assets moving and working better for longer. Now, back to our episode with Lucy Dobeer. So, dealing with such commodities like the high voltage system, these EV batteries, there are non-negotiables when it comes to safety protocols and the way in which these are moved around. How do you approach building that expertise and the protocols necessary to ensure that safety is kept top of mind and that there aren't going to be these issues that we see come up? I know there was that one case with the ocean liner that had the big fire.
Yes.
These things can't happen. Yeah. So how do you build that infrastructure internally to make sure that things are safe and secure?
Yeah, great question. And you're right, these things do happen. And I feel that Unipart will always invest in rigorous training. That is key. You cannot expect a team member to not be trained, to handle it, to have the correct certification, to handle the high voltage components. Unipart will always stay ahead of evolving national and international safety. And we have an opportunity to work with a battery manufacturer in the future. And part of the scope that we have to adhere to certain safety protocols. So we will have additional training to handle that separate project. And I feel like that's where Unipart will always and never question to put that into place. So we will invest, and we're investing in our people, we're investing in the future, and we will pay for our teams to be trained, to handle, but to keep themselves safe. And that is the key message. We are asking them to do a really serious job, and we're asking them to do that every day. The very least we can do is provide the tools, the equipment, the time, and that training in order to do it. And that's where we are doing, we're making huge leaps in investing in that training.
I think the education is an important side to it. Having Absolutely. The systems and having the physical infrastructure around it is one thing I think people can understand. But I think we saw it when EVs started to have service needs and the training required to even service an EV vehicle because of those high voltage systems.
Correct.
And what you're talking about is a step further.
Yes.
Managing these things in a logistics capacity. It's a huge educational shift.
Absolutely, it is. And no OEM wants to see a car sat on a ramp, taking up a ramp's time. People don't want to take their car to a dealership knowing that the car's going to be sat there. They won't have a car to use if there isn't a loan car or a courtesy car to use. While the battery is being picked up, taken away to be repaired. Batteries cannot be repaired in dealerships. That doesn't happen today. I don't think that is going to be the case in the future. There isn't the space, the training, and that involved. They will have to be trained to do that. So the battery will leave the car and the battery will leave the site. What we want to get to is make sure that the car doesn't even have to reach the ramp. So we want to take that away from that OEM. We want to take it away. If you've got a disgruntled customer who has gone into a garage and said, my car's been here for 4 days, my battery, you know, and they're being told, well, the battery's been sent away and it's being worked on, that's going to slow up sales, because somebody that's come in to buy their brand new car is going to hear that. So that's an element that we want to remove, and that's what we are working on.
I think there's part of the population that is waiting for any opportunity to pick on things, as little as it could possibly be. I know a story that came up earlier today with someone on the floor actually was this whole the fleet side of rental vehicles, and how was it Hertz that just removed all of their Teslas off of their rental lot because there were so many issues with them. Okay. And the audience takes that as an opportunity to go, look, EVs don't work.
Of course.
So they will take anything, like even a safety issue or taking things at a service level, and that they'll pick on that and try to affect the larger ecosystem. When we talk about trying to affect change on an ecosystem on a holistic level, getting everything right is fundamental.
Correct. And if you took my mum's generation, for example, my mum would hear that story and that would stop her in her tracks, even considering an EV. So it's dangerous how that can adapt people's minds. Yeah,
and I think it's important for everyone to understand that the full picture of it. It's not just owning the vehicle and selling the vehicle from retailer's perspective, but it is all these different elements and knowing there's a long-term strategy in place. And I think that's probably part of the way that you guys approach it as well. If we look at that full picture, and again, bringing the invisible infrastructure to the surface, affecting the broader system, affecting the holistic system, we want to strengthen its resilience. We want to strengthen everything that it provides. I guess there are national targets that we have to hit and that the country wants to hit. What you guys are doing, making things simple, is going to help the national goals be achieved.
Absolutely.
That's what we want to see. Good. Listen, this has been fantastic. It's such an interesting world. I really love diving into this side of it because, again, I bring it up to anyone on a show like this, which is an intelligent, informed community, and they're still in shock about how much it has to go into this side of it, this whole supply chain side. I think it's really an interesting side of the industry. So it's great to be able to pick your brain a little bit and learn even more. And it's great to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
Any final note from your side? Anything that we may have missed that you wanted to bring up?
No, I thank you ever so much for having me on your show again, Mark. It's always lovely to chat to you. And thank you.
You're very welcome. And for everyone watching and listening to this show, thank you much for being with us. It's been another enlightening and full episode of some great insights from Lucy and the work that Unipart's doing, along with what Hyperbat is doing. Again, we'll shout out to them as well. If you have any questions about what you heard today, or you want to learn a little bit more about what they're doing, head down to the podcast notes, resources to get in touch with myself, with Lucy there, as well as to Unipart and Hyperbat. So definitely go check that out, learn a little bit more about what's going on, ask the questions that you may have. But with that, we'll bring this episode to a close. Thank you all so very much for joining me today on the Auto Tech Show, and we'll see you for an episode very soon. Bye for now. Again, our partner and sponsor for this episode of the Auto Tech Show is Unipart, your supply chain performance improvement partner. Learn more at unipart.com.